I think it's fascinating that it's still all about the Trump show, isn't it? And we saw an announcement yesterday. He gave an interview where he said he's made his decision on the debate, but he's not going to reveal it until next week.
Right.
And it's part of just the allure of Trump and the showbiz factor of it all, that even though these people are qualifying for the debates, and I think it's up to 8 now,
Right.
All eyes are on Trump.
Welcome to the Debrief, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering this week and where the story's going next. I'm Jim Antle. I'm joined today by Managing Editor Chris Irvine. Chris, we've been talking about the Republican debates for quite a while now. First debate is coming up. People are starting to qualify to get on stage. What are sort of the big stories coming out of this so far?
Well, I think it's fascinating that it's still all about the Trump show, isn't it? And we saw an announcement yesterday. He gave an interview where he said he's made his decision on the debate, but he's not going to reveal it until next week.
Right.
And it's part of just the allure of Trump and the showbiz factor of it all, that even though these people are qualifying for the debates, and I think it's up to 8 now,
Right.
All eyes are on Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you and I have discussed this off camera before, but it's kind of like if Trump doesn't turn up, it's a case of whoever wins this debate then gets Trump, and he gets a first round bye, and then
Right.
they have to go and face him in the next round, or,
Right.
or whoever it is. He really is running laps around everybody right now, and I think the debate is where you kind of see that come to a head.
And it's interesting because the debates last time around, or the last competitive round of primaries, were really where he kind of gained his dominance over the Republican field. But this time, he's using his dominance as an excuse to maybe forgo the whole event and not appear on stage with all of these people polling 30 points behind him.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think that was part of the allure the first time round, that he kind of changed the game when it came to the debates, and that's why people thought, oh, who's this guy? He's
Right.
Well, obviously everyone knew who he was, but
Right.
it was like, oh, he can land punches with the best of them. And I think there is that box office factor that people have kind of forgotten about him, whether, all the indictments and everything else that kind of go with that, but people will ultimately be tuning in to see him. And I think the Republicans will probably kind of rue the fact if he doesn't show up. Mm-hmm. Although on the other side, he kind of has everything to lose in some respects, because if he does turn up and say DeSantis performs well, or Chris Christie, gets into the mud with him, mm-hmm. and kind of makes him look smaller than he is, then that's only going to hurt him.
Right. And Chris Christie is basically premising his whole campaign on the idea that if he gets on the debate stage with Trump, he can knock him out.
Absolutely. And I thought, again, Christie had an interesting line the other day when he said, I need to get past DeSantis, mm-hmm. and then it's Trump, and we go one-on-one. And, Christie isn't exactly polling particularly well, but he's clearly relishing this opportunity to, land blows on him as much as he can. And I don't know if Christie will succeed in that respect, and if his particular aggressive style will do well on the debate stage, but mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a great watch regardless.
So if Trump doesn't show, are all eyes then on Ron DeSantis?
Well, I think they've got to be, yeah. He's obviously not had a great campaign mm-hmm. so far. He's reset, 3 times, something mm-hmm. like that. And this is really the opportunity for him to kind of cement himself as the other guy. And if he doesn't perform well, if he gets outperformed by the likes of Tim Scott or Nikki Haley or Chris Christie, mm-hmm. Or even Vivek, who is, as far as I'm concerned, he's been written off, but seems to just be hanging around and has an interesting MAGA-light message, or however you want to frame it. If DeSantis doesn't clearly win over the rest of those, then I don't kind of really see a way back for him. I mean, I'm sure he will limp on because he has money and he's got a lot of backers, but he really needs to come out swinging.
Thank you, Chris. You can read Chris and the rest of our political team's coverage at washingtonexaminer.com.